Hey guys, how's it going? Blair,
Enoch.
we're back.
Back again.
Yep, yeah, we are. And we have an interesting topic this time. Before we start, I want to ask everybody that has followed us this far or has, explored or accidentally got to this video, give us a like and subscribe to us because your life will get better just by having us in it.
Yeah. Comment if you need to comment. Just like I say, if you don't like it, what don't you like about it? If you do like it, what do you like about it? What are some topics that you would like to see me and Blair explore? As people have been kind of like, we're getting feedback around it. Like I've been heard that we're a very intellectual podcast, so that made me happy just to hear that. But like I said, what kind of topics do you guys want us to break down from our different perspectives? And what would you like to see us really discuss and dive down and tackle and stuff like that? And I think it would be pretty interesting because maybe some of these topics we have no idea about. So maybe we would be learning on the podcast with you. So
that sounds exciting. I'm up for that.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So yes. First, before our topic today, what kind of episode is this going to be? So if you guys don't know, we have three types of episodes. We have confirmation bias. This is definitely not a confirmation bias.
No.
Those are reserved for more of our controversial topics. We have B episodes where you really get to know me and Blair.
Yep.
And then you have field of studies.
Which I think is what this one's probably more so going to be.
Yep. So in a field of study episode, it's pretty much it's things that me and Blair, ideas, philosophies, might just be technologies, it could be things in the medical industries, things that we're really interested in, and ideas that we have personally explored and done research on, and just kind of either we might have had a collegiate study on it or we might have a self-study on it, but something just like a topic that we put extra time and focus in to really kind of explore.
Yep.
So yes, field of study.
Field of study. And I think that is a good introduction to the topic for today is going to be what is vision and what does it take to pull it off? And you might see us explore different sides of this between me and Enoch because Enoch started his own company and I'm in residency, which is it's just a slightly different being like entrepreneur versus whatever I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
different monsters, same sword to try to slay it.
Exactly.
Okay, so vision. What is vision? I guess
that's what is vision.
What is vision?
Okay, so to me, I think that vision is having an idea that is different than what you currently see in the world, and you see a way that can possibly be brought and manifested so that other people in the world can experience it and possibly benefit from it.
Okay, so in layman terms, seeing something that is not already currently in existence.
Yes.
Okay.
Or at least seeing how you can develop something that is currently in existence to something else that is hopefully more beautiful.
Okay, so why is that important then?
Because I want to speak on that in like a couple of different levels, but first and foremost, I think that humans are creative beings. We all have a capacity to create, and I think that we have almost a need to create.
Okay.
The most natural creation is, birth, right? So you have two people that hopefully love each other. They fell in love. They're like, they're one, right? That was one of our podcasts. They are one, and they bring life into this world. That is the simplest and possibly also the most complex creation that we can have as humans.
Okay.
And then there's something else that is having ideas and seeing how things can be different. I think that one part of this is that we all have pain. We all have things that we have seen in the world that we're like, this is not justice. And I think that, I don't know, I might have a different definition of justice than many people do. I think we've discussed this before, but my definition of justice is that when you see something wrong in the world that is unjust, that your goal then becomes to prevent that from happening to other people.
Okay. Ooh. That is such a, I mean, okay, that's such a hard concept to even get around right then and there. Is like, because when you see something that happens from your perspective that is unjust, how is it possible for you as an individual to then have this overarching reach to change something that is then a collective? It's something bigger than you. Like, what does that even look like? Like, so if I just said, easy topic right now, police brutality, you say, okay, that's unjust. As an individual, you being Blair, how do you be like, okay, I don't want any other person to get abused by the police?
Yeah.
How does that work out?
Okay.
How does that become something?
So,
as this becomes a confirmation bias episode.
Right. We will digress from this.
Yes.
This needs to be its own episode if we're going to do that.
Yeah.
It's worthy of it. But just as there is microeconomics and macroeconomics, we have micro influence and macro influence. So, and I think that depends on who you are and what your capacity is. Right now, our capacity to influence will probably not be the same as it will be in 10 years, especially if you continue growing the way you are, what we expect. So, micro influence, in my mind, would be you influence your friends, you influence your family members, and you talk about this thing that you've seen that is unjust, that you think needs to be changed, and you kind of, I don't want to say change their point of view, because that's not necessarily what needs to happen, but you make sure that your perspective is known, I guess. And if it is worthy of being picked up by another person, then maybe it is.
Okay.
And I think that is kind of bridging from injustice to justice. Now, on the macro side of that...
Before we get to macro.
Yeah.
Because while I do agree with the tactic of it, it's like how do you go about doing that without being, for lack of a better term, an asshole? Because you have to think that, like...
Sometimes you have to be an asshole.
He said that, not me. But so the reason I asked that is because, like, again, we are also still going from perspective of this is something that you view as unjust.
Yes.
So it's just like there are plenty of people who think the police aren't being brutal, that they're just doing their job.
That's true.
And so, like, then if they view how the police are getting the backlash in the media of what's happening with them, if they view that as an injustice, then now they're going about trying to change view. Like, does you versus this other person, does that not like cancel out each other's energies, if that makes sense? You have one person who's saying the police are too brutal. You have another person saying they're not. They're going and changing their family and their friend circles. Does that not keep us at the status quo?
Well, for one thing, that's not the point.
Okay, fair.
The point is you doing your individual job to bring justice. Mm-hmm. If somebody else does their individual job and it brings about the opposite of what you're doing, they may be bringing what is justice to them.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
But then, didn't you say that with your definition, though, was that I want to have this never happen to another person again? So if one person, it's almost like if one person is fighting with the right hand and the other person fighting with the left hand and they just keep hitting, it's going to, for both people, both things are going to keep happening. So the person who is fighting for police, the person who's fighting for police to be seen in this light, it's that backlash is going to keep happening because there's somebody fighting for the police to be seen in another light. And then vice versa, because you have these two equal and opposite forces fighting against each other, so it keeps the energy at the equilibrium.
Batman and Joker, yeah.
So it keeps Gotham in chaos.
Yes.
So it's like, and then it goes back to your, like, I'm reverting it back to your original definition. I don't want to see this happen to somebody else. It's going to happen to somebody else. It's going to happen again.
Yes. But that shouldn't stop you from doing your part. Okay. And justice is individual. It was my point before. So just because someone's view of justice is different than what yours is, doesn't mean, I guess it doesn't mean that one is, there probably is one that is wrong and one that is right, probably, but I don't know that any of us are smart enough to actually figure that out.
And so that, I guess that's more so, like, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the point you're saying, but I'm saying that, like, the difference is that there's going to be this individuality with it. Like, I'm pretty sure the Proud Boys think that they are doing justice. You're familiar with Proud Boys, correct? The Proud Boys.
No.
Pretty much they're a white supremacist terrorist group. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but that's what they are. And they consider that they're doing justice.
Yeah.
And whatever they're doing, they truly believe in their minds. And so they're trying to change the status quo towards their favor, when a lot of people are like, they need to be condemned. I'm one of the people who are like, yo, they need to be condemned because I know I know my people are going to get directly affected, but in their minds, that is justice.
I gotcha. Well, and I guess what I'm saying is that because justice is individual, it doesn't always align with the status quo.
Okay.
Or like changing it. It doesn't align. It doesn't. One individual's justice is going to combat status quo. But once you start having 2, 3, 4, and frankly, the entire world's idea of justice, you're going to have multiple conflicting and also like concentric, like aligning. And so what that becomes is something else entirely.
Okay.
So I don't know if that answers your question.
I mean, it's something that just like I would want like people to keep in mind, like because it's a tough philosophical.
Well, it is
question.
My point is that status quo is the amalgamation of viewpoints. Justice is one person's viewpoint. So
is there an overarching justice then? Is there an?
In my opinion, yes, but can one person say what that is? I don't know, and
probably not.
So that's my other point.
Okay.
The other thing is that the more dug in you get to your idea of justice, the opposing views looks even more wrong.
Confirmation bias.
Yes, confirmation bias. And I think part of what is healthy and part of what is needed, even to actually change the status quo, is to see the other side of your argument.
So when we're saying the words confirmation bias is essentially that when you have a certain belief, instead of trying to go research things that would be opposing to your belief, you usually go find research that confirms your beliefs. Yep. So if you're Republican, you're going to go to Republican news sources and you're going to find Republican ideas that confirm your beliefs. If you're Democrat, you would do the same thing. So you don't actually end up challenging your beliefs. You end up confirming your limited perspective of your beliefs.
Yep. And this can even artificially be made. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is if you are a father and talking to your child, or if you are a teacher and talking to your student and you're saying, okay, I want you to go write a paper on why such and such is true. Mm-hmm. The fact that you're going to go out and look at all of the evidence and towards a specific point of view, mm-hmm. it will ingrain you into one specific viewpoint, and it will actually change your belief towards that viewpoint. So you can actually artificially have confirmation bias outside of what your own original beliefs were.
Yeah. So that's the difficulty in that. You have to really just be open-minded, not even in terms of how we normally see open-minded, like, oh, I'm just open to anything, but it's like really just, you have to not be afraid to have your beliefs challenged in the way that it could change them.
Yes.
You have to be unafraid to ask why and how.
You have to be unafraid to be wrong as well.
Yeah, that.
As humans, we are frequently wrong. We're frequently right, but we are also frequently wrong. And a lot of times we have been ingrained, whether through school or through our parents or whatever, that being wrong is a very bad thing. And the thing is, it's worse to be wrong continuously than it is to be wrong, realize that you were wrong, and change. Mm-hmm. Right?
Agreed. Okay, so going back to, you said micro, and then you had macro before I interrupted you.
This topic is deviating so much.
It is.
Okay.
But
it's a good topic.
It's a good topic.
We might have to change the name of it.
Well, no, I think we can get it back to vision.
Okay, fair enough. Macro is when you actually have a platform.
Okay.
And then it's, I'm going to say, easier to influence because you already have people that are coming to you and want your opinion.
Okay.
Versus micro is you going out and trying to give your opinion, right?
Okay.
It's a difference of attention.
Okay. So the reason I think we can get right back to vision is because I think with everything we just covered, in terms, I feel like once you have a vision, all those questions are now driving, attacking forces behind that vision, either you getting that vision achieved because you overcome those attacking driving forces, or that vision not being achieved because you allow all those questions to submit you into a place of doubt. So you have to remember, so if you have a vision, let's say, okay, I had a vision to start my own companies. I now have 2 of them. Vision to start both of those companies. So it was like, hey, I can do Be Real Entertainment, I can do Mountaintop Studios. I can do this and that, and I have, this will be my own studio space, I can do my own content, and all that's great, and you have that energy and all of this. But then it became, well, it costs money. It costs this. It costs time. It costs effort. You need to get teammates. You need to get people behind you. You might need to get investors. You need, like, what if the world doesn't like your art? Like, what if everything I'm putting out... What if you
crash and burn?
Like, this podcast to a certain extent is a byproduct of me believing in the brand that I was trying to come, and you believing in the brand as well. And then saying, hey, let us come together to push forward the brand. Like, and it could be like, we were having this conversation right before this podcast. It could be like, this never grows. It ends up shrinking. Literally, no one watches it but our moms.
That'll be enough.
And that would be enough.
Thank you, Mom.
And so then what does that look like? Was it worth it then to make the business? Because you put out so much money in it. Like I said, podcast services aren't free.
No.
Like, these mic setups aren't free. This audio equipment isn't free. None of the cameras that we have on, none of this stuff is free. So then it's like, at what point is it like, does the cost benefit analysis, at what point is the cost greater than the benefit? And what point do you have to stop that vision? Like I said, you literally asked me this question an hour ago. At what point? And, does anybody want to know my answer?
You can repeat it.
Well,
I thought it was a great answer.
I appreciate it.
And frankly, it didn't even answer like the original question I had very well, but it answered the psychological portion of it, and that's all I needed.
Gotcha. So my answer was that regardless of if this grew, if this gained attention, if this gained a platform to be for macro change or macro visions, it gives me a peace of mind. It allows me to feel fulfillment in what I'm doing. And so to me, that's worth more than all the dollars I've spent in terms of equipment and all the things I've sacrificed in terms of my time. Like, that's unmeasurable. So it's like, it's always worth it. So it's like, yes, for me personally, but then I know there's so many other businesses, maybe it's not worth it. Like you said, when people have family, kids, children, like you have big, like, I don't have some of those responsibilities, so this is easier for me to do. So I can give you the answer right now. But then if a wife got into the picture and a child got in the picture, would, like, being able to commit an hour, 2-3 hours every weekend, that time is, my time's value then goes up. It skyrockets because I'm taking it away from my child.
And that's why we're single.
I mean, but that's fair. I mean, my mom's been telling me a long time that if I wanted to do things like this, do it before I have a family. Because like you said, you're always going to be sacrificing something. As right now, I'm sacrificing things like my own personal, going out on as many dates or going out and like partying or like I said, like those kind of things. That's what I'm sacrificing right now, which is fine because I can make those sacrifices and I would deal with the consequences of those sacrifices. But when it comes down to have a family, it's like, now it's my children's, my wife, all of those are the sacrifices that I'm making. And is that correct? Is that wrong? Like for something that's not leaving a legacy, I guess. Because at a certain point, like I said, if you grow the platform, if you grow Be Real and it becomes, this massive thing, I'm leaving that to my children and they're going to understand the process. Because like daddy left me this. So like he wasn't there some of these times, but he was building this. And children are going to understand that. Like I know there's this one guy, Dick Gregory, and his children, he was an activist, comedian. He did a lot. He was on the road a lot. And his children, when they got older and stuff like that, they were like, did you ever miss your father? And it was like, no, we understood what our father was doing. And when he got home, he was always with us. Like he was always present. He always stayed in those moments. And when he was on the road, we knew that he was there to build us something greater. And I think he has a son and a daughter, but they're like, pretty much we're a good man and good woman because of the sacrifice that he made. And so it's like, those are different, but like Dick Gregory also built a huge platform. He became a very monumental figure. But what if he was someone who nobody knows his name, then his children might be like, yeah, I'm shrugging my shoulders for all those who are listening. It's like, you don't necessarily know. And so it's like, really, you take that, I took this on a hope that I could, and not even just a hope, a belief in myself.
Right.
And I guess that's going back to the vision. I had this vision, and all those doubts came in, and they attacked me, and they fought me, and it was, I wanted to do this for, let me see, maybe 2013, I started having these type of ideas. I started maybe taking a path in 2015, but like really 2019, it was like, okay, I did it. Let's get LLC. Let's go for it. Now it's like, there's really no turning back.
Nope, we're here.
We are here.
Sink or swim.
Exactly. But you're looking at 8 years of just really being on this journey and it took me a solid 6 of those years just to combat my own doubt.
Yes.
And just fight, and then realize that, you need help. I mean,
personal doubts are more powerful than the other kind.
Oh yeah. And then just realize you need help. And I guess one of the big things for me in terms of the vision that I had and because I see a lot of people that have visions. Like I said, I'm in the entertainment industry. So people have visions all the time. They come to me with their visions and, oh my God, I want to tell this story, and oh my God, so this and that. And I know as soon as they start telling me, hey, this is a story, you know what I'm thinking about? Camera setup. You know what I'm thinking about? Microphones. You know what I'm thinking about? Like production costs. You know what I'm thinking about? Budgets.
But that's because you've had the experience of taking vision and bridging it to reality, taking into account all the practical things that need to happen to make this go from what is inside someone's sight to into the world.
Mm-hmm. And so, but then what ends up happening is they have this great idea, and it's not like I'm trying to be a Debbie Downer, but then it's like I have to bring that reality to your case because that's a great idea. I believe in it. That's why I'm actually bringing it to. If it was a bad idea, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, you got it.
Good luck.
Good luck. But I'm bringing my resources and everything that I can offer to you in a realistic manner, and then I want to say 90 to 95% of the time, when that becomes the case, the energy of them dies. And then it's suddenly like this great idea is no longer a great idea, and it just goes by the wayside, and it never becomes anything because it's like their personal doubts then end up winning. And so that's a hard thing. And so for me, it's like I know I battle those personal doubts. I battle it every single day with all of my stuff. And I know that for me, the biggest thing that helps me out is that I have help. And that, because and a little bit slightly, because I'm a little bit of a control freak. So for me to relinquish help,
slightly,
it's slightly. For me to relinquish help, or like to relinquish that I need help, is a huge big deal for me. But like if you're really about these visions, like if you have a vision, the biggest journey that's gonna happen is gonna be a psychological one.
Yeah,
you're gonna be faced with your personal flaws. And that your like trust issues and everything. He's seen me on set and stuff like that. Like I'm constantly checking people for the sound and the camera. Did you guys do this correct and stuff?
Yep.
But you have a 3-camera setup. I have all these microphones, and if I'm acting in this thing, I mean, it's like I can't be at all these different places. So I have to relinquish it to the people who I'm entrusting to, do better. I mean, or not do better, but to get the job done. And that's a hard thing to do. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to ask for help. And it's a hard thing to ask for help.
No. Yeah. No, it's incredibly hard. That's like, before I went to Grenada, I was a very independent person. Like, you never heard me ask for help. And then I got to a point where I needed help. Like, I'm having to use crutches to get up a mountain. Can someone, drive me up this hill so I can get to, my bed and just rest for a while? That's... when you actually get to a point where you realize you can't do everything by yourself, or you just need assistance from somebody else, it actually takes a lot of strength to dig deep to that question and say, I value you as a person, and I need your help with this. And all of our visions require that.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast in itself. It's independence is bad. It's coming up, guys.
It's coming up. It's coming up.
It's coming up. It's independence a bad thing. But yes, it's...
Depends on the person.
Depends on the person's situation. Obviously, that's with anything. Bad and good is just really how you view it from to a certain extent. We can say murder is bad every single day, but we justify David killing thousands of people. Like we do. We consider David one of the best people in the Bible. We consider that, you know, if you're from different religions, usually, you know, Muhammad killed people. I mean, like I say, they went to war, but you went to war. Like I said, America's in 100 wars right now. Like we justify it. Soldiers have killed people, but we justify it because of this thing called freedom, or our principles, our ideas and beliefs and stuff like that. But then most people, if you ask them, Poland, is murder bad? They would say yes, murder is bad. But it's
because that is ingrained in us. If you say murder is not bad, then society didn't successfully teach you the right answer. But when it comes to a specific context, then we get a little bit more
iffy,
gray.
Oh, gray, gotcha.
Less black and white.
It's black and white. Okay, so going back to vision and just really looking at that, like. So how does a person overcome those doubts? Like, because again, vision. So let's just say, let's deviate away from me and my visions. Let's say you have a vision to. What do you have a vision? What is one of your visions? Give the audience something. Give the audience something. Give them a piece. Nothing too personal. We'll say that for another episode.
My visions are like short-sighted though, is the issue. I don't have like a long-term vision in mind.
Just tell us your visions.
Okay, so, and I think part of my vision is being able to have hands in multiple things.
Okay.
Right? I want to be a doctor, and frankly, the more...
He is already a doctor, people. There is a DR in front of his name.
The more experience that I get in being a doctor, the more I love doing it. Which is something that is incredibly important, because going into this, I didn't necessarily initially know how much I would have to give up and how much pain I personally would have to go through to actually get to where I am and beyond. And I think that's something that people, if they're thinking about going into medicine, that's something that you probably need to actually weigh, like, what do you want and what are you going to give up to get there? Secondly, I want to explore a science called PRI, which is postural restoration. I'll leave out the I because it's not relevant. PRI is what got me from not being able to stand up without being in severe pain to now being able to walk, being able to stand up for long periods of time. I still have pain, but I can manage it now. I have the tools to like be able to get through it. And my vision for that is to master PRI, take it beyond what it is currently, because I am not fixed, right? Mm-hmm. I am managed, but I am not fixed. And I believe that PRI can fix me if I find a way to do that. So one vision is restoring my body. And then the second one is bringing what I learned in that process of restoring myself and helping to restore other people that have been in pain and nobody has been able to get them out of it. That is a profound vision for me. That's always really been something that was like close to my heart, is like helping people and taking away pain. But it became so much more personal when I went through years of severe pain, and I'm like, I don't want anyone to have to go through this. I want justice. I want to help people out of it, help people get back to their normal life and not have this impeding them from achieving their own visions. Mm-hmm. So that's my biggest vision. And then the other is just like, I love acting. We spent a couple of weekends like doing shorts, and I love our time on set. I also just like love being here with you and some of the friends that I've made by doing that. They are lifelong friends. I really enjoy that, and so that's another vision that I have. But I guess that's where I'm saying that's where I'm short-sighted on. Like, I want to act, and that's about it. Like, I don't know where I want to take that yet. And I guess that's not necessarily an issue. Like, I think that's something that can develop over time into a bigger vision. But just because you're passionate about something is enough to go into it, and then maybe your vision actually develops from there. Maybe it doesn't, and that's okay too. But maybe it does, and you actually bring something much more powerful along the way.
And then I'm a person who is of the firm belief that if you have multiple visions, there is a thread to interweave all of them.
Yes.
Like I said, maybe, like I said, that the PRI thing you're saying sounds exceptional. I'm here to support you in whatever way you need me to, buddy, but it's probably gonna be pretty pricey, and it's probably gonna cost like a lot of things other than just money and stuff like that. But like maybe acting could be the thing that you parlay into that, to be the thing that, you know, a lot of actors are activists because they have the money to be activists.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, activism isn't cheap. Like,
No, it's
a lot of people think, oh, I can just go get a sign. It's not cheap. That's why it requires masses, because masses together, you know, $1 for 1 million people is $1 million. Like, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
You know, or you could just be one person who's a millionaire, and you could. But
that helps too.
It helps, but how many people reach millionaire status? You know, it's what, 5% of people, something very low. Not many people. So 5% is what, you know, 1 out of every 20. So, and usually when you reach your millions, you know, a lot of times it becomes about how can I keep these millions?
Yes, because you worked so hard to get there.
Yeah,
You're like,
as
I
it
don't
should
want
be.
to lose it.
As it should be. It's your money. You got it. You gained it. That's your. You can choose to do whatever you want with it, and people really shouldn't necessarily look down upon the person if they choose not to, because we don't know anybody's individual journeys and struggles and what those millions are doing for them and their own homes and stuff like that. You know, kudos to the people who do go out and decide to, you know, reach out and give millions and all that kind of stuff. It's really kudos, but it's one of those, again, that's a whole, we've given like 5 different episodes that you guys are probably going to now see preview from this one.
Yeah. Yes. But I love these ideas. Let's keep having them.
Let's keep having them. Yeah. So I guess now when we're looking at visions and just looking at where we want to go with visions. Okay, you're saying the PRI, you're saying acting, stuff like that. How are you? I mean, you're an actor, but you're not like to the level of actor that you want to be. You know some things about PRI, and you've learned how to manage your PRI. How do you get to the point where you're actually achieving that vision? Because that, like, and overcoming those doubts, like, you know, what if the management of your body starts failing you? What if, you know, you act and you have these shorts today, and then a year from now you didn't get any better? Like, at what point, like, do you have to like shift the dynamic of your own doubts and be like to really like, okay, I've been just hitting them with hooks. Now I need to do a jab. I need to do a roundhouse kick. Like, at what point do you need to change up your tactics, how you tackle this?
Seek help. So I think it's different than if your vision is something that you put effort into and it on, like, maybe not magically like falls into the place, but like it, like, without more than you have within you. If it falls into place and you're like, okay, we're good. But if it doesn't, then you have to go back and say, is this important enough for me to like seek help? Because as we kind of just talked about, it takes a lot of strength to actually go inside and say, I do not have enough for this, and I need something outside of myself to help bring this into the world, because I think that is worth it, and it's more than just me. And so if it was acting, I'd be like, okay, you know what, I haven't improved as much as I needed to. I'm going to go to acting classes, or I'm going to find someone who I'm like, that is an amazing actor, and go up to them and be like, I need you to show me what you see, how you feel, like, how are you this good? Tell me what process you went through to do it. If I need to, pay them, spend time with them, like, whatever you need to do to actually like get to that vision that you have. For PRI, I'm going to need help. So that's not even like a question. Like, you go to your mentors. And I think that's the biggest thing in life, is having mentors. So if you want to get good at audio, then you find someone that is amazing at audio. You form a relationship with them. I think that's what it comes back to, is you need to have a relationship. It's not a one-sided thing, but you're putting energy into this, and both of you are getting something out of it. You're getting learning out of it. They're getting whatever they are out of it. But it's a relationship. And I think as long as you take it back to relationship, you're actually fueling your vision.
Okay.
That was an adequate answer.
That was good. No, that was a good answer. All right. Well, I think that brings us to our next segment.
It's time.
It's time. It is time for that segment. ladies and gentlemen, we are going to our
Movies.
television, or book.
Yep.
Some type of media reference that kind of helps drive in the different perspectives that we presented through this podcast. So, who's a character that is the greatest visionary that you can think of, and then the person who actually is a great visionary, but they actually executed what they wanted. All right, I think I have mine for the second.
Okay. Well, you go.
So someone who's a great visionary and who actually executed their vision to me was Thanos.
Oh yes. So good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Thanos, again, backstory. You know, he had a planet. He knew that the resources were running out. He said that, hey, we needed to do a random genocide.
This was an excellent example of conflicting ideas of justice.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, in his mind, people are gonna die if they don't lose half the population. So randomly, we're just gonna kill off half the population. So again, it's that whole murder argument and stuff like that. And nobody listened to him. His planet ended up dying. So now everyone's dead because no one listened to him. And so he saw that happen. So now he knows where the universe is going, that there's a limited amount of resources. So we need to cut off half the population.
Right.
And so he formulates a plan to collect the six infinity stones, and he executes it, and he makes a snap and have the world's population without even being really, it wasn't, I mean, they're dead, but it's not like they didn't go painfully, or at least it didn't look too painfully.
Yeah.
So
they
it was
just disintegrated.
Exactly. And he executed it. So he had a vision, executed it. Like, to me, it was like, wow. It shocked the entire world in my mind when Infinity Wars came out. And so, but he had that vision, you know.
Such a good example. I'm not going to be able to come up with something that did that.
I'm sorry. Okay, well, you can...
And what I will say is that originally it was justice. It became about... So near the end, I never thought Thanos was completely wrong, because it was, to me, like, his vision was actually about justice. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, as long as I can see the justice in it, I can kind of get behind what you're saying.
Yeah. No.
But near the end, he literally goes up to the Avengers, and specifically like Iron Man. I don't remember exactly who he was talking about at the time.
Captain America,
but he was like, "I'm going to enjoy killing you." Yeah. And the moment you said that, it was no longer about justice.
Well, see, to me, yes, agreed with that. But when it came down to the movie, it's because that's a different Thanos. So the Thanos who snapped had gone through losing at the loss. So he had battled those doubts. And then when he snapped, he was okay with Thor killing him. If this is the case, I did what I have to do. He's okay with meeting death at his door and not running from it. But then now, the Thanos who was in Endgame for majority of the movie was Thanos of 5 years. He hadn't gone through those battles. He hadn't faced those doubts. He just saw that my future self would get these stones, and he knew where to go. He really knew a shortcut and a cheat, and that's why he lost. Yeah. Because he hadn't gone through the pain. In order to get victory, you have to go through the pain.
Yes, you do.
And so if you don't go through that, then you won't ever truly get victory. And so that's why he really lost. Like, really, and then the reason the Avengers won in the Endgame versus lost they hadn't gone through the pain. They hadn't lost those comrades. Like, Captain America and Iron Man didn't realize the power of their unity. But when they saw all the people die, that unity became the most important thing to them. And then they were able to go fight Thanos and beat him and defeat him. That pain to get the victory. It's very... I mean,
we can talk about this all day long, and we need to.
It's a great series.
Okay, so mine is not as good as yours.
It's okay. It's okay.
But it's a series called Scorpion.
Okay, I'm familiar with it. I've never watched it, but I do know Scorpion. Okay,
we have Walter O'Brien, who is like IQ like 270, which is high.
Just a few points higher than us.
Yeah. What am I? Anyways, I took an IQ test at one point.
Never taken one.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Never. Here's my point. Like, as soon as you measure something, you also limit it. So.
Fair.
Anyways, Walter O'Brien, super brainiac. He has basically a vision of like how he can use what. It's not even what he knows. It's his ability to learn. It's also what he knows, but like when you have that much of an IQ is really the ability to learn. And so it's not actually about the amount that you already know. It's about your capacity to learn and to honestly learn quickly. Learn in the heat of the moment and actually be useful towards somebody that has an issue and you didn't know what to do like before. Now you do because you actually learned it that quickly. And the premise of Scorpion is that they basically get a bunch of geniuses together and they help people that are in like basically impossible situations, like literally impossible. Like they do their best to set it up as like, okay, everyone's gonna die, and then the geniuses come on board and they actually do it. And I don't know that Walter, like when the series first started, if this was like his initial thing, he kind of just saw himself as like, yeah, I'm really smart. People don't really value me, like value that part of me of what I can actually bring, whatever. I have these friends. We're good friends. I at least have them. And then he like over the course of this series, like sees different like problems. And he's like, okay, well we can fix this. And then like it morphs into something of like him being like, okay, when we have these problems in the world, we as a group can go in and fix this. And so I guess that's part of what I meant of like, for me with acting. Like right now I just know that I'm passionate about acting, but I don't necessarily have a vision for it. And I think that his vision developed as he saw himself being able to help these people and make life better for others and keep them from just dying, right? So his vision developed and he actually became very successful with it. And then it ended terribly. Just don't watch the last season, basically, because it just ruins everything. Everything. It's terrible.
That happens way too often.
I hate it. I literally, I was so angry after that last episode. I was like, and then now it can't be fixed. All right, whatever.
That was a really good example, even though I hadn't seen it, but that was a good example.
Good.
So
just not Thanos.
I mean, yeah. I just went for the number one grossing film of all time.
Yes,
it was pretty.
And I mean, you like went for the antithesis too. Is what made it so good. You're like, yep, that's it.
Yep. I didn't go for Iron Man. I didn't go for Captain America. I went for the villain.
Nope. Which Iron Man would be a decent one too, but it's Thanos that brings it home. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I believe this brings us to our final portion of the podcast. This is a portion where we discuss what do we learn about each other just by having this conversation. Yeah. I feel like every single time you have a conversation about somebody, they should reveal something new about them, or you should be perceptive enough to gauge something new from them that you didn't know, because we're very complex individuals. Like I would never know you 100%, and you would never know me 100%. But each conversation that we have is that little extra percent that that we give each other. So there's always to be something that we learn, or else why were we even talking?
Ooh, that was so good. that doesn't necessarily mean that you you learned something. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be about the other person, but I think you should try to.
Yeah, attempt. There should be effort there.
But yeah, otherwise, why were you talking?
Okay. Do you know what you learned about me?
I mean, kinda.
All right, you can go.
Okay, so I didn't really. I might have been too much in my own stuff from 2013 along that era. I didn't know that this vision was that long back. And I mean, I know that we all have our doubts, but I don't necessarily see you as the doubtful person. You are the person that you're okay, I see this, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's make it happen. And it's literally if I hit a problem, I'm going to build a bridge and get over it. And so, I mean, so the fact that you're saying 2013 and it took you years to get to the point where you were okay, I'm jumping. And honestly, so far, I think you're flying pretty well, pretty gracefully. So,
I'm Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah. Star Command. Anyway, yes, exactly. So I guess I did not realize how much your doubts actually really inhibited you for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the point of we have these people in our lives. We have Malcolm X. I got to say him first. We have
Malcolm.
Jeff Bezos. Whatever his name. Yeah, that dude. Steve Jobs. Right. You never saw their doubts though. They had doubts, but their vision was more important, and they overcame it. The names that we know are the people who actually overcame their doubts. The ones that we don't, they didn't overcome it.
Fair. No, yeah. And you know, I don't want to say that in 2013 I wasn't giving you my doubts either. So it wasn't that you weren't perceptive, but it was, you know, when you said you had an answer on it, you said you seek help. In 2013 I was in a place that psychologically I wasn't ready to ask for help. And it became and again, it's one of those things that when I go back and think about it, it's like to say I want to make films and make content and produce it out in the world, you're putting yourself open for judgment. And I think for so long, what took me so long to get to this place is that I was putting others' judgment over my own vision. And so I didn't believe in my vision enough until it got to the point like, just go do it. Like, you know, the first thing I ever did really filming and putting it out there was me and you, JFK versus MLK. And like I said, it's one of those things that, you know, it's not our best acting. It's not the best there's plenty of things we could do.
That was amazing. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, you can go back and watch it again after this.
I didn't have enough time to perfect the accent. Okay.
It's all right. But it was our first thing. It's always going to be, to this day, no matter how many great masterpieces that's always going to be in my top 10, because it was the first time that literally, like, I put it out there and I let the world see me naked. And I was unafraid of not I wasn't afraid, but I was unapologetic about the world seeing me naked.
Yes.
It's like, I am here, I'm bare, this is what it is. Like, and so, in the end, was that the beginning of 2020 that I did that? Yeah, beginning, like January 2020, right before, God, was that really, oh man, whole year's passed. But, and then now it's like a year of growth. Now it's just like, hey, I make mistakes, you push through them. Like, there's plenty of times I release podcasts like, dang, I forgot to put this in there. And it's like, okay, well, there's be a podcast next week.
Yep.
So
Murphy's Law.
Yeah, you just push through it. Of course it would rain today. I can't do that. So, okay, we're going to push through it. Now this outdoor scene became an indoor scene.
Yep.
Of course this take happened like this. Of course this memory card. Of course these batteries. Of course, it's just, there's so many things, and it starts becoming, if you can take a moment to stop and I tell people don't look back, but sometimes you have to look back and see how far you've come upon the journey. And then when you do that, you look at your present, it becomes entertaining, becomes funny, becomes hilarious that like where you're at now. It's like, okay, you'll get through it. Like every single moment, like there's so many mistakes. Like my biggest film was it's definitely Black Lives Matter that I made. And I watch that now and I see so many mistakes I made.
Yep.
I think about every single day and stuff like that. But then with that one piece, it landed me 30 opportunities. Like, and it completely changed my life. And I can just look back and see all the mistakes I made. And but with those mistakes came such a beautiful thing that people really resonated with.
I love that. It does not have to be perfect.
It doesn't have to, and it never will be perfect. We were having this conversation about, you know, because we have a lot of content about to come out, and none of it will be perfect.
No.
And it's just about, did we have fun doing it? Is it something that we think is gonna help other people? All right, then you release it. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not every single take. It's not. It's just, you know, we don't have $150 million and we don't have our hands. Like we're doing this really guerrilla style, and so because of that, yeah, it really is guerrilla style. So because of that, it's, you know, you're gonna accentuate your mistakes, but it's just finding a way to make that mistake into a positive. Learning from it, like it's every single mistake is an opportunity to learn from it. So that's what, you know. Yep. Me and my team, you know, you're part of the team, we try to like go into it with it. But to digress from that and to say, what did I learn about you in this podcast?
Let's talk about what's important here.
Yeah. What did I learn about you? I think it was the biggest thing, even though I had some glimpse of this, but the biggest thing that kind of was driven home to me is your sense of justice and how it becomes something that the micro macro, but I feel like the thread that I was seeing was your micro feeds into your macro. So I don't think that's I don't think that's everybody. So for you, like you said, you gave your vision of a PRI, which we've had a conversation about it, so I knew that. However, to see that your PRI feeds into you healing yourself, and then it's not even about healing yourself, but it was more so like when you heal yourself, you can heal others. And so then they will never have to go through what you've gone through for these last like 5 to 6 years. So it's like, while there is an intention that some can view as, being more selfish or involved in healing yourself, it's like, that's just a step that you have to take in order to get to your true intention of helping others. So I thought that was quite beautiful. Or at least I hope I threaded that. Was that the proper thread?
No, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that something a lot of us overlook actually is not all of us are in a place where we can healthily be selfless. I think that a lot of times we need to take a step back and realize that sometimes you have to be selfish to really create and fulfill yourself before you can start being selfless and giving to others.
Well put.
So being selfish is not always a bad thing.
Yeah, we've had that. That's a whole nother episode for a podcast.
Yes, it is.
About 5 of them.
We have 5 podcasts from this podcast.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So that is vision. That is what we consider vision, and the different perspectives and viewpoints. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about vision. How are you achieving your visions?
Yes.
That would be really great.
And how can we help you achieve?
How can we help you? I mean, yeah, if you're in the Atlanta area, I got a camera, I got microphones. I'd love to help out. He'd love to help out.
Come on board.
He's not being Dr. Smith, even though he's always being Dr. Smith. But when he's not physically at the hospital, he would love to help out. So please reach out to us. Like, subscribe, rate, share.
It's free.
It is free, and it helps us. And if you are enjoying this, share it. Like, that helps us so much grow the brand. It gives us, and again, we're going to do this regardless, but it helps us have a little more excitement, a little more momentum. Yes. It helps us to be like, every single time I see my YouTube, like a new subscriber, it makes my day.
Yeah, you're like, all right, we made it to this.
We made it to this. This
is
a little bit more. So,
yeah.
And it does help because, like I said, I'm not doing this for the platform. I'm doing this for, I don't know, but I guess to find other individuals who have a similar energy to us.
Yeah.
Who like, I think that's why I do Be Real Entertainment, to find other people who feel like they have stories they want to get out there and they don't know how to get out their stories. That's why I step in at. That's why I'm constantly helping other actors, writers, directors. I'm like, yo, what are you trying to do? How can we collaborate to get this out there? If I love the story, I will do whatever it takes to get the story out there.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that I love our energy, and it's not something I want to change. I never want to come on here and artificially come up with, hey guys, that's just not, I don't know, that's not who I am, and I don't think that's who we are together. What we want to do is have this energy of caring and friendship, and we want that to be extended through this camera, through our voices to you, and for you to kind of use it as you will.
That is fair. This is raw and authentic Blair and Enoch.
Yeah, it is.
B&E, breaking and entering.
B&E, breaking and entering.
Breaking and entering. So, as always, I'm Enoch.
I'm Blair.